The Dyatlov Pass incident, an unsolved mystery. Deep within Russia's Ural Mountains, near a peak the indigenous Mansi people called Kolit, which translates to Mountain of the Dead, the wind tells a story. It's a story of a mystery that has baffled historians, scientists, and conspiracy theorists for over 6 decades. A story of 9 experienced hikers who ventured into the snow and never returned. This isn't just a tale of a hiking trip gone wrong. This is a cold case, a riddle wrapped in an enigma, shrouded in ice and speculation. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass incident. It begins in the winter of 1959. The Soviet Union was at the height of the Cold War, but for a group of students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, politics were a distant concern. Their focus was on adventure and achievement. Led by the charismatic and experienced 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, the team of 9, 8 men and 2 women, set out on what was supposed to be a challenging 16-day skiing and mountaineering expedition in the northern Urals. Their goal was to reach Otorten Mountain, a journey rated as Category 3, the most difficult grade for a Soviet trek. We know their names. We've seen their photos. Young, bright-eyed, smiling into the camera, full of life and anticipation. There was Yuri Doroshenko, the life of the party. Zinaida Kolmogorova, the romantic, diligently writing in her diary. Semyon Zolotaryov, the mysterious older stranger, a veteran with combat experience who joined the group at the last minute. And of course, Igor himself. One member, Yuri Yudin, fell ill with severe joint pain early on. On January 28th, just a few days into the journey, he made the difficult decision to turn back. It was a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life, but one that ultimately saved it. He was the last person to see his 9 friends alive. The last entry in the group's shared diary, dated February 1st, was Monday. It spoke of setting up camp on the slope of Kolit, preparing dinner, and settling in for the night. There was no hint of panic, no foreshadowing of the terror to come. It simply ended. They were expected to send a telegram to their sports club upon their return to the village of Vizhai around February 12th. When no word came, it was initially no cause for alarm. Delays were common. But as days turned into a week, concern grew into alarm. On February 20th, the first volunteer search teams, comprised of fellow students and teachers, were sent out. On February 26th, they found it. The tent. It was on the mountainside, but it was a scene of utter chaos. The tent was half collapsed and buried under snow. But the most chilling detail, it had been cut open from the inside. Several long slashes ran through the canvas. The searchers peered inside. Personal belongings, boots, coats, supplies, even the skiers' cameras, were all left behind. It was as if the occupants had vanished into thin air, fleeing in such a desperate hurry that they left behind everything they needed to survive a brutal Arctic night. The searchers' eyes followed the trail of footprints leading away from the tent. The prints from bare feet, socks, or a single boot told a story of panic. They led down the slope into the thick of the forest below. About 5 kilometers away, under a large cedar tree, they made the first gruesome discovery. The bodies of Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonischenko. They were barefoot, dressed only in their underwear. The remains of a small fire were nearby. It seemed they had tried desperately to stay warm. A search between the cedar and the tent revealed 3 more bodies. The group's leader, Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, and Rustam Slobodin. They were found in poses suggesting they were attempting to crawl back towards the tent. They had succumbed to hypothermia. The discovery of these 5 bodies answered nothing. It only deepened the mystery. Why would experienced climbers flee into minus 30 degrees Celsius temperatures, underdressed, to certain death? The mystery was about to get much, much darker. It took over 2 months for the spring thaw to reveal the final 4 bodies. They were found in a ravine deeper in the woods, covered under 4 meters of snow. These were Semyon Zolotaryov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, Ludmila Dubinina, and Alexander Kolevatov, and their condition sent shockwaves through the investigation. Nikolai had a devastating skull fracture. Semyon and Ludmila had massive crushing injuries to their chests. A doctor compared the force required to that of a car crash. Yet, crucially, there was no external trauma, no bruising. It was as if the force came from within. And most bizarrely, Ludmila Dubinina was missing her tongue. Her eyes were missing, so were part of her lips. The official investigation, concluded in May 1959, was cryptic. It stated the climbers died from a compelling natural force. The case was sealed, the files sent to a secret archive, and the questions multiplied. Theory 1. The avalanche. The most accepted modern theory. Perhaps a small slab avalanche hit the tent, causing non-fatal but terrifying injuries like the chest fractures. Panicked, they cut their way out and fled. Disoriented by hypothermia, they undressed, a known paradox called paradoxical undressing. But skeptics ask, why was the tent still standing? Why were no avalanche debris patterns found? Theory 2. Military tests / infrasound. The area was off-limits to hikers, though this was poorly enforced. Were the Soviets testing a new weapon, a sonic device, or a parachute mine? Could low-frequency infrasound from the wind have induced panic and physical resonance, causing internal injuries? This might explain the irrational flight and the strange injuries. Theory 3. The Yeti or UFOs. Some point to mysterious orange spheres seen in the sky that night by other hikers. Could they have been experimental aircraft? Or something otherworldly? The missing tongue? Could have been scavenged by animals, as officials claimed, or was it something more sinister? Theory 4. A fight or paranoia. Did the group turn on itself? Was there a conflict with the outsider, Zolotaryov? Or did they stumble upon a Gulag escapee or a secret patrol? The lack of defensive wounds on the first 5 bodies makes this less likely. Each theory has its flaws. Each answer breeds more questions. The case was reopened in 2019, and in 2020, Russian authorities concluded it was an avalanche. But for many, this official closure feels unsatisfying. It doesn't neatly explain all the evidence, the radiation on some clothing, the pattern of the injuries, the sheer, unadulterated terror that must have driven them from the safety of their tent. The Dyatlov Pass incident endures because it is a perfect storm of mystery. It is a forensic puzzle, a historical cold case, and a campfire ghost story all rolled into one. Those 9 faces, frozen in time in their last photographs, continue to stare out at us, challenging us to find an answer. So what do you think happened on the slope of the Mountain of the Dead that night? Was it a tragic confluence of natural events? A secret the Soviet state took to its grave? Or something else, something we still cannot explain? The wind on Kolet Syakhl still blows, and the mystery remains.